Alright, so what's up everybody? My name is Isaac.
And I'm Sean.
And you're listening to the Outsiders Podcast. Yeah.
Right. So we'll start off with a little bit about ourselves. So I guess most of you will know Isaac since he's the sort of the face of Loop Gums, and yeah, most people know that what you do, like your personality type and all, but just introduce a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Isaac. I am one of the people who started Loop Gums. So I started Loop Gums with my partner FJ. So shout outs to FJ. Yeah, we've started the store. Loop Gums has been running for 3 years now, and yeah, so now we have grown from a team of 2, myself and FJ. Now we're a team of 5 over the course of 3 years. So yeah, we are a curated vintage store in Singapore, which mainly deals with 80s, 90s, early 2000s pop culture related items lah. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Right. So a little bit about myself. I'm Sean. So basically I'm a student, but I run I wouldn't say exactly vintage store, but more like second-hand clothing, very small, on Instagram. It's called O Plus Go, YLDPLUS.
Link over here.
Yes, maybe. Yeah. So I do some of my own designs from time to time also. Like currently, I have a shirt that's in printing lah, and together with a sticker set. Yeah, I didn't bring a sample, but still available on my Instagram page.
Find out more on his Instagram page.
Yeah. So I've been doing this since 2016. I think also about 3 years now. Yeah. I don't have that much growth as compared to those people who started around the same, because I don't really manage it. Yeah. School's been
slow and steady, man. Slow and steady.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
That's good. Yeah.
So now I guess we'll just talk about a little bit about how this entire podcast started.
Sure.
Basically one day I just walked into Loop Gums, so I was like having a chat with Isaac. I think most of you do that when you go into Loop Gums. You know he's a very friendly guy, along with the entire cast.
Good vibes. It goes both ways It goes both ways.
Just get a chat with them. So that's exactly what I did So I was like, I had this idea at the back of my head for a very long time already. Like I wanted to do an interview with Isaac, but then Isaac was like, oh, this is a bit formal. Like he doesn't want it to be
just like casual.
So then I was like, wait, why not we do a podcast? And he was like, yeah,
boom,
let's do it. And now here we are.
Yeah, man.
Casual podcast.
Yeah, just casual, man. Yeah.
So the name we haven't really decided.
Yeah, we haven't really. We have a couple of things thrown around. Would you wanna tell them like what names are we using?
Okay. So we sort of have 2 ideas. Yeah. The first one is like you heard in the intro, is Outsiders Podcast, or like the Outcast Podcast. So basically that name sort of has a meaning to it So for our side, right, like we don't want to be known as the Outcast, because it doesn't sound very...
It's a bit like negative connotation,
you know. We're all about the positive vibes.
Yeah, only positive vibes, man.
Yeah, but we talk about issues, not really issues, like topics on fashion that sometimes aren't as common. So that's why we have sort of the term outcast.
Right.
Yeah. And also because of our fashion choices, like clothes we decide to wear, then people often mock us for it. So we are sort of like the outcast of fashion.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first name. Then what about the second one?
There's also like an alternative name which is like herd or be herd. So the first herd is HERD, as in like herd mentality, or be herd So essentially what this means is like, do you want to conform or do you want to like stand out? So follow the herd or do you want to be herd? So I think kind of also sums up what we are trying to do to give, I guess, voices to, again, like what Sean mentioned, it's not like issues but like topics on things that we could put can shed some light on that it's not I guess not so much topics that are not so much in the, I guess, mainstream, if you will,
like
things that are very alternative.
People people that won't really talk to us won't really know about, I would say.
Right. So so either the masses, or do you want to talk about like the people who are doing things differently lah? So heard or be heard lah. So next time, who knows, when this podcast grows, we could get like more guests on board, doing very alternative things, and you can hear their stories as well lah.
So both of these ideas are the shortlisted ones. We have a lot of other ideas before that, but these are the two that we actually like the most. So maybe if you could give your suggestions or like vote for it, just let us know, man, down in the comments, like what name you prefer.
Exactly. So let us know, man.
So I guess for now we'll just be posting it on YouTube. But subsequently we want to post it a bit more on more platforms.
Right, like social media, Instagram,
Spotify, podcast.
Spotify, yes.
Apple Music, Bilibili, that kind of
thing. Man. SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. So we're in the midst of working on that, but I guess we'll see how this blows up.
Right.
Like if it has some decent amount of viewership, then we'll definitely continue with it because this is something we want to do for quite a while. And it's sort of like, I would say, our passion. So if you have any tips on how to give podcasts, like what equipment to get, just feel free to let us know. Also. We are totally clueless about this.
Just trying it out.
The setup we're using now ain't that great also.
Boom. But it works. So
it's like the episode 0.
Episode 0, man.
The pilot.
Boom. Exactly.
So I guess we can talk a little bit about our fashion choices. Like, so basically, what got you interested in fashion in the first place?
Right. I honestly think that would, for the most part, I think looking back, now I'm in my late 20s right now, so very late 20s. So I think really looking back, I think for the most part, honestly, I would say my time in Polytechnic really shaped, I guess, how I am as a person, how I approach, I guess, dressing, or just sense in general. So I was in Singapore Polytechnic last time. I was in visual communications. So back in the days, it's like almost like 10 plus years ago. So I think prior to poly, honestly, when I was a kid, I definitely was interested in dressing up, but it wasn't so much as to I guess what suits me, or it was probably more like very brand driven. It's like, and this was like early 2000s, like when I'm talking about pre-poly, right?
When you were young.
When I was young, like secondary school, like you kind of see what brands are popping, or like what people are wearing. So during my time, it was like I guess people like to carry like Converse bag, wow, we had to go to Bugis Street to buy. I mean, I can't really remember like what was back then, but like looking back, I think it's a little jarring now. I look back like, whoa, But definitely again, I think sorry I digress, but like really what shaped me was really like my time in poly design school. It gave a very, how to say, like in design school, I feel like even at that point of time, I entered poly in 2009 so 2009. So back then, I would say even then, like the clothing style, at least for the youth, wasn't as, well, in my opinion, wasn't as mature, or it wasn't very, there wasn't much variety, I would say. It was still very brand-led or price-led, as with everything, I remember there was a period of time like lanyards were a thing. Dude, lanyards were a thing.
There was like the carousellers and everywhere.
Dude.
Those like Adidas.
Dude, this was even like, I think like during my time like there wasn't like carousel, there wasn't Instagram back in poly. Like I went through 3 years of poly with no Instagram. Like dude, it's like
I had it already.
We only had YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Like that was like our really main channels of like social media back then.
Was Snapchat a thing back then?
No, like Snapchat only came like when I was in uni.
Oh really?
Yeah, exactly. Like it got popular when I was in uni. This was like wow. Yeah. So I left poly in 2012, and that was when Instagram really picked up. 2012. So yeah. So I think how I guess like as with like clothing or like fashion wise, if we wanted to know what's going on or what's up with the world, you know,
YouTuber.
yeah, it's like a lot of like I guess various websites. I guess last time Hypebeast was there, High Snob was there, you know, and obviously various like forums, you know, Nike Talk, you know, magazines as well. And but yeah, like what Sean said, like, you know, YouTube was huge. YouTube was really like one thing that allowed us to see what was outside, at least the space of like Singapore, like, you know. So yeah, I honestly think that was really the main our new guest right now. So yeah, so that was really like our gateway lah, like to knowing what's up lah. So what about you, Sean? Like what was like the thing that really like got you? You know?
So back when I was in like I think secondary school, that's when I first officially got more interested in fashion. So you know how every time Chinese New Year, your parents like, hey, go and buy new clothes. The typical Chinese family So they give me like a bit of money or like take me shopping. So I was like, I didn't really like the stuff they buy because they were always very fitting, and I was a chubby kid. So fat maybe also, I don't know.
Big bone man. Big bone.
Yeah, I was pretty big size lah. So I didn't really like all these clothes. So I was like, Mom, you know what? I'll just go and get it myself. But that happened like a lot later in like secondary 3 or sec 2. Yeah. So back then Zalora was like a big thing. So I was like, whoa, shit.
What year are we talking about? Like this year?
Oh, that was like 2016. Even older, even younger. I don't know. Yeah. Basically we have an age gap. But yeah, I'm in my early 20s.
late 20s.
So almost a decade, but not really.
But sick, man.
So interesting fashion choices.
So Zalora.
So I was like, whoa, shit, you can actually get clothes for this cheap. Because back then I didn't know like fast fashion was a thing, then the whole sustainability issue, but that wasn't at the top of my mind as it wasn't such a hot topic back in the days. Yeah. So I would buy clothes for my brother.
You were a student
as well.
also. You were a student also, so it's budget friendly.
Exactly. So I had to work a few part-time jobs, but in the beginning it was just my parents paying for clothes because they are still young. So back then I was like, okay, give me this sum of money, I'll go get clothes for myself and my brother. So I would style him up for Chinese New Year. Then my parents was like, oh shit, you did a pretty good job, Yeah, your brother looks quite nice also.
Your younger brother?
Older brother.
Older brother, nice.
Then subsequently this just carried on for a few years. Then I was like, you know what? I'm done with this like Zalora shit. It kind of like screams a little bit young punk back in the days. So there's like this term called YPs that people will call everyone. Then I sort of evolved more into the YP era. So YP basically just means sort of like interchangeably with the word hypebeast. Yeah, so people who are like very brand centric. Then back in my days, right, in like I think 2018, it was like Palace, Supreme, Babe. I mean it sort of still is but and Off-White, never forget. The industrial yellow belt.
Oh my gosh,
that was hot back then.
Hot, man.
Yeah. So I started moving to buying fakes because you know Supreme and shit is all expensive. Like there's no way a student doing part-time jobs can afford that. So I started buying on Taobao, like you know, the fake Palace. Then subsequently I was very lucky. Like I managed to know this friend. Shout out Karon.
Shoutouts, man.
He taught me how to resell clothes. So how to get the freshest drops right when it first dropped. Yeah. So I became a Palace reseller and Faces, and a few more smaller brands Then that really allowed me to buy what I want, right, and sell another piece to cover the cost of what I bought. So basically I got Palace shirts for free. Instead of taking profit, I just wear it
Hustle, man.
That's when I transitioned to buying like real streetwear. Then probably in like year poly, this was in poly days really. Then I was often mocked by friends like, hey, you dress like uncles, because I used to buy this kind of like business pants,
trousers,
trousers, super baggy and stuff. Then I will wear like a leather belt, right? I just tuck everything in. No matter what I wore, I just tuck it in. Like to me, it looks neater.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So people always like, hey, you uncle, why you tuck in? Then 2 years later, the trend sort of like blow up.
Right.
Not saying that I'm a trendsetter or anything,
Right.
but yeah, it's just kind of funny how it became a trend. Because I was just doing it because I like the look, like neater.
For sure.
Yeah. Then that was when I started looking at Pinterest, Instagram. That was when it really blew up.
Right.
Like social media was the hot and was the thing back then.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of influence, then all the Fitpic, what's that, Instagram pages.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration, all the kinds of posts. So I was like, oh, maybe I need to evolve. So I started like trying a lot of different styles. Then subsequently, this is the style I am today, plus a few more. Yeah.
That's nice, yeah. And would you say like your style, I guess back since when you got your awakening, like, since like in secondary school to now, would you say you see that you are always evolving, like to a certain, like you're constantly molding yourself or like constantly, like even now, do you think, I'm not sure whether it's upgrade, like, because I feel like maybe someone out there would still be interested in the way, maybe how you dress back in secondary school, you know? So maybe like just based on your own personal take on what you like, do you still think you're in a molding phase? Like you're always constantly evolving, trying to find what suits you?
Yeah, I guess when you've been dressing up for a few years, right, you sort of know like the silhouettes that you like.
What works, what doesn't.
What works, what doesn't. But now it's just like, oh, what kind of colors I like. So like I think last year or 2 years back, I was like very into the whole pop colors, like, you know, with BGR, very vibrant colors. Then subsequently now I'm sort of like choosing the duller colors, you know, more monotone, autumn, spring colors, with maybe just a little bit pop of color lah. So yeah, I would say I'm still sort of finding my style, but
that's good.
I roughly know what I want now. Yeah.
So essentially, like I think, like what Sean mentioned also, like having been like dressing for a while, and you know, you sort of gain that awakening, that awareness of what works and what doesn't work for you. You know, silhouettes, your shape, your body size. You know, you would actually then, I think you do feel the same way, like, you know,
definitely.
that. Sometimes when you see something that looks good online in magazines or you know, even on someone like walking down the street, exactly, you know, but sometimes, you know yourself enough to know that, okay, you cannot just copy and paste, like, okay, that works for him, it should work for me,
exactly.
You know? But then again, that helps because then when you're looking for pieces or, you know, items that you want to wear, you'll definitely try to suit your own body type, body shape, and how you feel, you know.
You know how TikTok is a bit trending? Okay, not a bit lah. It's very trending right now. It's like basically taking over Instagram.
Right.
Then there's like people posting like, oh, how to dress this and that, like how to style this, and like trousers you must have. Like basically, I've done something like that before, but I don't really like doing content like this because I don't like to teach people how to wear, because what works for me might not what works for you.
Right.
What do you feel about those?
I think actually it's good because I feel like those like tips, right? I feel like in the bigger space of things, right? Like in the bigger picture lah, I think it's helpful because I would say majority of the general public lah, you know, they are not as, I guess, not everyone is very like I guess very conscious about like what they wear or what they put on, which is fine, you know, which is fine. And I feel like those videos actually do help and cater to people who really do want to have a foot into trying. Exactly. So I don't
change their style.
Exactly. So I think it's definitely more helpful than detrimental lah. But I definitely understand what Sean is trying to say also, because, you know, maybe to more extent, you know, to what Sean was saying just now was probably more related to people who already have sort of their own dressing sense, you know. So, but definitely I think to the general masses, it's definitely a good help lot. It's like your entry lah, you know, or like maybe 5 trousers a guy should have in his closet. Yeah, maybe that's a gateway for exploring. So, you know, it's like, don't be shy. Like, you can always try. Everyone starts off somewhere and just go and attempt, just go and experiment. I feel like that's always the key lah. Don't.
It's like a nice mood board also lah. Like,
exactly.
You know, maybe you want to try new things, but then you aren't aware of all the styles available out there, because there's so many. There's like what, avant-garde, there's city boy,
right.
So many styles. Even I myself, I'm not familiar with all this, especially when we are like chasing after all these trends, right? We sort of expected to know what this style is, what that style is, but there's just too many to keep track of.
I think at the end of the day, the fun thing is, you honestly even myself and FJ lah, we've been in the scene for like the vintage scene for maybe about like 10 years,
Wow, that's long, man.
But the thing is, I feel like what Sean mentioned, like we don't really know every like single aspect of every single thing, and it's always the willingness to try, lah. I think drawing back to what we're talking about with like style, it's all about experimentation, lah. It's like, oh shit. Don't feel like you have to know so much about certain things before you get into something, because like I feel like then you are just robbing yourself of the chance. Like don't worry about gatekeepers, lah. I feel like there are a lot of people that feel like, I think this is my opinion, lah. They are very precious with what they know, and at the end of the day, clothing is clothing. It's fabric. Anyone can put on it, and don't get caught up with, oh shit, I don't know too much about this, I cannot get into it, And obviously I understand the implications of certain things, like, like, oh, people are very, like, oh, I like this certain style, I'm very into this lifestyle. Right, exactly. I feel like some people, and like maybe they really live and breathe a certain lifestyle, say like punk or like what. I feel like, I get it, but if that is your gateway into trying something new and trying to find yourself, it's like a process, then I feel like it's okay. Unless, of course, let's say you want to dedicate yourself into a certain lifestyle, like avant-garde or whatever, then I feel like the respect that you should have at least is really to try to know about what's up in
the minor background.
Correct.
Like
But
know a bit of the designer.
Exactly. Know a bit of the background of what you're getting into. But of course, if it's like a process, the learning process, you are trying things, then just go for it. It's all about trying.
So there's like meme pages. There's a few.
Okay.
So I was like following this. I think it's called Better Memes. Recently, that they posted this long text about Artex. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Oh,
the dinosaur.
Is it the one now they do like windbreakers and everything? Yeah.
So apparently they've been popular for damn long. So there's like this damn long text like, oh, do you know that there's this model and this model, then this model does this. So I wouldn't say if you like Artec, right, just go and buy it. Like Singapore already has a few of those like stockists. I think basically only just one grown-up bunch, but they don't stock like the jackets and all, just like the t-shirts and like wearable things in Singapore. There's no way you can wear the jacket here, man. You will sweat to death.
If you want to, I mean.
If you want to,
but it's really hot, but just do it.
Just a suggestion. It's really hot. I wouldn't recommend it because it's supposed to be like windproof, weatherproof, like as
weather conditions.
What's that thing called? Techwear. Yes.
Techwear,
it sort of falls under techwear. So I wouldn't really say it's for Singapore, but if you like it, go ahead. Yeah. But don't be pressured about like, the gatekeepers, like, oh, you don't know about Artec, you shouldn't be wearing it, take it off now.
Right.
Or like, oh, you're wearing Palace, who's your favorite skater from there? Like, no lah, just sort of like know a little bit about history if you're interested in
right.
As a normal consumer, right, I wouldn't think you will know everything.
Right,
like,
of course.
Like Uniqlo is everywhere.
Yeah.
Then you're just like a regular guy who walked into Uniqlo.
Right.
Then can't be like, hey, you wearing Uniqlo, you know who's the boss, no?
Yeah.
Can't be, right?
Yeah.
So if you like something, just go ahead with it.
Yeah, just try,
Don't wait on it.
Yeah.
Always experiment.
Yeah,
especially there's like a lot of places for you to try clothes nowadays. Then there's a lot of variety, I would say. Even for like fast fashion, they already have a lot of different type of products out there. So just go and try, see what you like, see what you don't like, what suits you.
Yeah, man. So what would you say like are your places to shop, like compared to last time you mentioned in the past probably like Zalora.
Yeah.
So what was it before and what have you like, I guess, mold yourself into like right now? Like,
so
places that you shop.
Back in the day, right, I listen to a little bit of rock, so like, but I'm not like hardcore punk guy or like a rocker.
Right.
Yeah. So like a little bit like 21 Pilots, that kind of thing. Still my favorite band. Yeah. Then I like to bring my friends to this Peninsula Plaza. The basement. Like now it's very popular lah. Then as things become popular, right, gatekeepers. Especially on TikTok, I saw a few like people posting thrift shopping at Peninsula Plaza. Then it isn't exactly thrift, but I do get what they're trying to say lah, because there's a few discounted prices there. Things are quite cheap there lah, and it's sort of like some pieces are like one-off, but some are just repro panties. So that's why gatekeepers sort of like get a little bit angry about those. But I wouldn't say, maybe if you want to make a TikTok about it, just do a little bit of research before you make it public. But if you're just doing it with your friends, right, then maybe it's fine lah. You can just tell them like, oh, I know this shop. Yeah. So I used to shop there at Peninsula Plaza, and I bring my friends there quite often, and they always like, whoa, this place is so cool. Like, how did you get to know this? Yeah. Then subsequently, I sort of like transitioned to like thrift stores. So back then, I didn't really visit Singapore once, because I always watch like, you know, Click Network TV, you know, the Bong Choo. What was the
Budget Barbie.
Yes,
Budget Barbie.
That was the thing I used to watch. That was like the OG fashion channel. So I was like, oh, go Bugis Street, this and that. So that was when I started lah. So I was like, oh, $5 bins. But after visiting there a few times and coming back empty-handed, I was like, this ain't it, man. So I started going to a few like more Singaporean thrift stores, like they got Salvation Army, things like that. Then when I had the budget lah, so I traveled overseas. Like, nearest is Malaysia lah. So that's when I first started everything. So I was like browsing through the thrift stores. I was like, then most of my closet lah, I would say is either nowadays is either thrifted from Taobao or vintage. And a few designer brands lah. I'm not a very big designer guy. Like as you can see, none of this is designer lah. I'm just a
but you look like $1 million, bro.
Hey, you too, bro. I would say lah, like with right dressing, right, you can look rich, but that's not what I'm trying to do lah. Like I don't want to look rich, man. What if someone just comes up to me like steal my shit? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah, I know for sure, man.
So where do you get stuff from?
Wow, I think okay. So this also goes back to probably like back in the days, I guess, like in secondary school. So just now it's funny thing you talk about Peninsula, because like during my secondary school days, right? So when I was in Sec 3, Sec 4, this was in, yeah, you all know my age already lah. Okay, but Sec 3, Sec 4, so I was 2007, 2008. Okay. So Peninsula was huge also back then. But last time no social media lah, so it's like you know,
close.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, your friends will go there, you know, like we come to town, then we'll go Peninsula. So what was popping back then, what was popping back at Peninsula, right? Obviously, the panties, the things, that those stuff was still there, like back then also. But what we went there really for was the skinny jeans, man.
Oh,
dude, like back in the days, right, like, mid 2000s, like skinny jeans were a thing. Okay,
it still was in my time.
Right? Okay, so the thing is, so I run quite a bit and then I play football. So even back then, so my thighs are huge, bro.
Same issue,
so,
man.
And back then, cause like everyone's like wearing like skinny jeans. It was like the thing of the day, and wow, shit, dude, like. So this is what I'm trying to say, not everything that it's popping or whatever, it's like, oh shit, will suit you, and that was, I guess, like really, like, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, like, it was just an experimentation gone wrong, like, it's like there was like a good, like, maybe Sec 4, Poly Year 1, Sem 1, it's like skinny jeans, dude, and my thighs were busting, like, it's just crazy, like,
Did people ever call you thunder thighs?
Not so much though, because back then everyone literally, if I recall, like most of the people wore skinny jeans. So you definitely have like all like the dudes who have like super slender legs. Yeah, exactly. So like you wouldn't get caught names because it was the thing of the day, right? But I knew when I put on a pair of skinny jeans back then in like Sec 4. I remember I was like buying for like prom night or something. Like my fit for the prom night was a blazer, button-up shirt, a skinny tie, and then skinny jeans with old school Vans.
Wow.
Yeah. So
very
dude.
punk.
Yeah, it was very punk. Yeah, so it is insane lah. So I think that was the beginning lah. I think, but last time really it was like more like brand based. Like I said, Converse was huge back then. Like bags, we always want to carry like Converse.
Skinny jeans also?
Oh no, not skinny, like bags. Like for Converse it's like bags. Then last time it was like what? Billabong.
Yeah, I had those messenger bags from Billabong.
Yeah. So I mean, those were the days. I think that was in like secondary school. The time online shopping wasn't really a thing like back then.
Was Carousel back?
No, don't have.
On already?
No, don't have. So after when we moved to poly, then obviously same thing like okay, it's like Peninsula, Bugis Street. Yeah, like you get a lot of those like graphic tees and everything. You know, there wasn't much like, I guess, alternative channels. You know, for you to options lah. I think back then. But funny thing was, speaking about like I guess like vintage clothing, right? There was a store back then. This was in 2010, 2012, I think. 2010 to 2012. There's this store at Chinatown, Anxiang Hill. So now Anxiang Hill is like a lot of like those parks, bars and everything. So there's this store called Oakham Market. So it was at least my first case of what a vintage store could be in Singapore. You know, they brought a bit of that Japanese vintage store vibes over to Singapore, because they are. I guess if you guys can go Google it now, right? Like you know, Oakham Market, you know, and I feel no, it's not around anymore. But like the thing was, like if you all can see like Google image, last time Blogspot was like damn popular. People will like blog about it lah.
I know.
They used to have like this thing called, I think if I'm not wrong lah, if anyone remembers Oakham Market, like put it in the comments down below, man.
Yeah,
like
I don't even know of this place.
Yo, no, it's insane. So they had this thing called like $16.95 rack. So mostly girls will like queue up, and Anxiang Hill is like it's like literally a very hilly spot lah. So there's like a slope. So people would just like queue up for the $16.95 rack lah. But what really drew my attention about like Oakham Market back then was just the environment of the shop, you know. It was a basement store, so once you go down to the store, your signal bar essentially just becomes 0. So you have no like, you know, signal lah. You can't connect, you can't call anybody outside. It was a very dark, very it feels like a club. You know, they had like checkerboard floors and everything.
Then they need to scan your IC before they go in.
No, yeah, they didn't lah. But and there wasn't much like talking also going around. Like the staff, they wouldn't attend to you and everything. But it was just a vibe back then. So I think Oakham Market was interesting. You know, they are now called OM Weekend.
Oh, they're still around. But rebranded.
So what happened was they got so big at Anxiang Hill, right? Then they moved out of the Anxiang Hill shop, which was a pity because I feel like that was a vibe lah, you know. They moved to Haji Lane. They had a 2-floor shop, so same thing, Oakham Market, top floor and bottom floor. But the bottom floor, the first floor, right, became selling their own own brand item. I think they had like their own brand. Yeah, so they started selling those like very gaudy like crop tops lah, slippers, very like Y2K aesthetic. Kind of vibe lah. Then on the second floor, they still sold like, you know, vintage second-hand items. And I think, if I'm not wrong lah, you know, they got so big, right, that, you know, they actually closed their shop, you know, at Haji Lane, and they moved solely online. So now I think if they're called OM or like OM Weekend or something, they have like 1-point-something million followers.
Wow.
But I'm not too sure whether they're still owned by the 2 Singaporean owners.
Oh.
Yeah, and because they started like how they made that shift was they actually started doing celebrity seeding. So they gave like Miley Cyrus, Hayley Williams from Paramore their items.
They got their 1.2 million.
And I think that's how they grew in the beginning. So now they're still growing. So I think Oakham Market was really one of the things that
never knew a Singaporean store could grow so big.
Yeah, so I don't think they own it. They own it anymore. But like
maybe they sell off their
maybe you know. And yeah, so that was one. And then of Salvation Army, right, like you know what Sean mentioned just now, I think back then, right, I think during my poly days, right, wow, the place was unpicked. Like it was, I'm not even joking, like I think for those of y'all who really have gone there during like the 2010 2012 that era, right, like it's really quite insane lah. Like wow, you can find like good like vintage items, you know, and it's not even like second hand, like not like thrift kind of, like it's like vintage. You can find good vintage stuff. For real, it's like you get like I remember I found like a Nike, the color block windbreaker, you know, the 90s tag, and
that probably can sell for a lot.
Dude, no, and it's damn insane. Like the particular one, and I feel like I think got a Balenciaga like blazer and the pants, like a full set over there as well.
How much was
it? So I think that time it was, maybe back then it was pricey lah, I don't know, but it was like 40
This
top and
really
top. Yeah,
like
dude.
a
So
cheap
yeah.
or
So
set.
so yeah. So I still have it to this day, lah. I think
Wow.
that's quite interesting, and just a couple of stuff, like you really can find. I think back
Ah.
then. So not many people like go there. I think
Yeah.
even now that I'm doing like vintage, right? But even back then, like in poly, when I go to Salvation Army, I come back with like bags of clothes, right? And my parents would be not happy at all. Like very like typical Asian parents. It's like, oh, where do you even know where those clothes are from? Is it are those from like dead people, bodies of dead people? Very like taboo kind of stuff, like. But dude, it's like so wearable, so like don't limit your options, like. And yeah, I think this allows me to like segue into also like how we gotten into vintage also. And yeah, I think back then, like again I said, YouTube was huge, right? So obviously FJ and I, when in poly, we were also very much into like streetwear also, brands like Tandy, the Hundreds, LRG. Oh my gosh, just
Actually, back then,
Nishka.
where could you buy this brand?
Yeah, so
like,
online.
Locally, do you have any?
No,
like,
so locally maybe stores like in Haji Lane there was Sup.
Oh yeah.
There was Sup last time, and
they sold like pleasures also.
right.
Yeah.
So like I think back then, if you want to really like get streetwear, it was probably like the Haji Lane stores.
I used to buy them from this Robinsons at the Hiran, but it's now closed. But
okay.
dude, they have the best selection of streetwear there.
Yo.
So there's like X large
X-large.
and the pigeon brand
Staple, yeah.
So they had a lot of those, and it's always on sale.
Yo.
Nobody goes there. And the thing is, they have like Japanese versions also. So I was there like before they closed down, like a few months back, because I won a few vouchers lah.
Okay.
So I was like, shit, I need to find something to
CapitaLand
spend it.
voucher.
The Robinsons one,
Okay.
the Ao Futai Mali.
Okay.
Yeah,
the recently
voucher.
the one they closing is
Yeah, it's really close.
Right.
Robinsons. So I was like looking for things there. Then they had this like Japanese limited edition X large shirt. Wow, but I didn't get it because they only have like size S left.
Fair enough lah. Fair enough.
Annoying.
Yeah, so I think back then, what was I saying?
The thrift stuff.
Oh yeah. So back, I mean like our vintage. So we got in like streetwear, right? So last time we shop on this like website called Karma Loop. So
Never heard of it.
Karma Loop went bust and everything. So Karma Loop, Plunder, shoutouts if you all knew it, man. Like that was where it's like a one-stop website where you get all the streetwear brands. Candy, Hundreds, like dude, and sometimes like on Plunder is where you get like the on sale items, right? So that was where
Plunder, I heard of it.
Plunder, yeah. So that was where streetwear and YouTube really got the link because they had a lot of those Karma Loop influencers.
Yeah.
So if you guys know Jacob J. Keller right now, the guys, so he's the same age as me lah, right? And back then in poly,
he is,
so back then,
He just reveal your age.
Oops, so but but shoutouts to him. He's one of the guys that really put
Streetwear on
I guess
the map,
put Karma Loop on the forefront in back then. So last time he was one of those sponsored by Karma Loop influencers, and dude, his old videos are super funny.
Yeah,
And
I used to watch his videos also, but that was like when he was doing all the live cops, Tyler Supreme. Then he does like the reviews, like what to get, what not to get, what to sell.
Okay,
and I was
yeah.
like, ooh, that's how I know him lah. Then nowadays he's just doing the vintage.
Of course. So last time we knew Streetwear Jacob through YouTube lah, and myself and FJ, we really love watching his videos. He always has like huge
his
Karma Loop
content.
hauls, and he'll
All
just
his
like
hauls are insane.
No dude, like if you are fans of Jacob, right, like literally go back to his old videos and watch it. I feel like it's so interesting, like the growth that we're talking about, trying to mold and find yourself. Yeah. So that was when, and his rap code. So last time Karma Loop has a his representative code lah. So his rap code was dope33. So even now, like if you go to like you see his like latest post or whatever, whenever he does his bare knuckles drop, like people will say like dope33, or when he posts his old Karma Loop content, people will say dope33 because they're referencing his old Karma Loop stuff lah. So he was one of them, definitely. I think back then that really gave us an insight onto the brands for like streetwear, And then for vintage wise, it was also because of streetwear, because while watching all these like streetwear haul, right, on the side they will have the related videos. And then FJ and I suddenly saw like, what are all these dudes? They were like reviewing like vintage snapbacks. So we clicked onto
New
it.
era stuff, is it?
No, this was not even like new era. This was like Logo Athletic, Logo 7, starter caps.
Oh,
you know,
I don't
so
even know.
yeah, no, so they are like very like popular like 80s, 90s like cap brands
caps
lah. Snapbacks, like really snaps.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, they mainly do like sports teams and stuff like that of that nature. But at least to us back then when we first watched, it was really just like, oh, okay, it's a nice hat. But all these dudes, right, they go into the story, they go into the text, the stitching, and like they tell you the team. And the best part, they teach you how to restore it. They like go to thrift stores, and you know they pick up caps, and then they teach you how to restore. You know, and that was interesting lah. So shoutouts to people like Iceman289. Shoutouts to, oh my gosh, Professor Snap. Oh my, y'all just go and find their old YouTube videos. They were like the OG of like vintage snapbacks, really. So
I don't even know, man.
no worries. It's all about like sharing, man. So you know, unfortunately, I don't think they are like in the vintage like scene anymore. You know, I've seen like their Instagram page. They probably still like clothing, but not so much like focus anymore. So yeah, those two, you know, those people were really like our influencers like back then. So we got our start in vintage with vintage snapbacks, and then we moved into like vintage team jackets, so like starter jackets, you know, varsity jackets as well. And then yeah, and slowly, you know, what we realized, you know, the fun thing about vintage, you know, obviously are the stories behind it lah. And obviously to tell whether an item is true vintage, that's an added value lah, you know, with tags, stitching and such.
Definitely.
But that's always a learning process. We are always learning as well. So I think that's really where we got our start for vintage lah. And if we are talking about where I shop mostly nowadays, honestly, I buy things off Lucas. Our store, like people think like, oh, because we run the store, you know, we take our own stuff for free. Yeah. No, we actually, I mean, if you're running your own thing, your own business, you know, and you can't just take it for free, like, you know. If not, we'll be, you need to grow something. You cannot just like take for free, like. If not, we'll be taking everything, man. You know.
Yeah, it's like I get that a lot also.
Right.
So like when things come right, you'll be thinking like, should I keep this or should I sell it?
Right.
That's the hardest part, honestly,
For sure,
about being a reseller.
Right.
Honestly.
So. Yeah, if you have your own store, you know, sometimes you look at your products and like, oh damn, that would look good on me, man.
Yeah.
But like if you keep everything, then there's no point already, like, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think, but most of them I usually like spend my money on like lip gum stuff, especially like with vintage tees and you know things that I feel like would fit in my current like wardrobe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really where I really shop.
I think that's a very important part, the last part you bring about like fitting in your wardrobe. So
Right.
there's a lot of pieces out there, I would say nowadays that are like statement pieces.
Yeah.
So for example, I guess this is sort of a statement piece.
Is that a Cuba shirt?
Yeah, Cuban shirt.
Yeah, Cuban shirt, yeah.
Vintage Cuban shirt. So I guess this is sort of like a statement piece. So for example, if you wear shorts a lot, right, like jersey shorts, it won't fit necessarily into
Right.
it. It goes more with like trousers, like personal preference, like how I would style it.
Right.
So I guess it's very, very important to see if whatever you're gonna buy, right, it fits into your wardrobe. So sort of like a thing I do is like, oh, do I envision myself with at least 10 outfits in this? What can I change? Yeah, so I guess like modular pieces. So I can have these pants, then I can just change the top, change the shoes, and it becomes sort of like a different fit. Yeah. So that's sort of important also.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
When you're buying clothes,
For sure.
especially trying out new styles.
And I feel like since we're talking about this topic, what would you say, let's say based on like an outfit lah, what would you say is like the most important part of an outfit for you lah, your personal thing? Like what's the thing that makes or break an outfit? Or like the first thing that you should like opt for
or
yourself?
rather the first thing I look at in outfit.
Oh no, like let's say when you put on an outfit, like
or when I'm wearing it.
Yeah, when you're wearing it yourself, like what is like the first thing that you would
I get you.
Yeah.
Usually like I would start from bottom down.
Okay.
But most of the time it just starts with the pants.
Same.
So I'll look at the weather app, then I'll look outside.
The
like,
weather app.
Shit, it's a bit sunny today.
Okay.
Do I want to wear long pants?
Right.
Or like those Dickies pants, right? Like super thick. Like
Right.
874s honestly are the best pair of pants I've ever had. I wore them to Melbourne. Windproof. I don't even need like anything underneath. They keep warm just fine. So especially now here, right, it's super hot nowadays. I was like, so I look at the weather, like, do I want to wear this?
Yeah.
So I start from the pants, then I'll go with the top.
Yeah.
Shoes, I usually just leave it for later because most of the shoes I have, I would say they go with everything in my wardrobe.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's sort of like a conscious effort that I do before I buy pieces. Like I like things to be modular, interchangeable,
Yes,
you know.
makes sense.
Like why if one day I just wake up, right, I pick two random pieces from the wardrobe, they have to go together.
Right.
That's what I'm going for.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
How about you? How do you start?
Yeah, so same thing. I think on the part where Sean mentioned about the pants, I feel like my personal opinion also is that the pants is the most important part of my outfit, which is it's the base of the outfit. Like like I will go with what pants I am wearing today, and then I'll fit it around the pants. So, but I guess the only difference I guess with Sean's take is that whenever I buy like a certain piece, maybe it's not so much like modular lor. Like I buy it because I think, oh shit, okay, it fits me. Like the fit is number one. Like to me,
yes,
fit is always number one, right?
Always.
And the second of all is like obviously with, let's say, when it comes to vintage piece, whether I resonate with it, you know, do I really like the story and obviously the design and aesthetic lah. But for me, it's like when to form an outfit, I feel like I will think about that later. Like maybe
just buy first thing later.
I just buy first thing later. But pants, right? I feel like really most important. Like
for sure.
really, you can get like maybe like a staple few pair of pants, and then you don't really have to like buy anymore.
Just like 5 pants.
Yeah,
right?
5 pants. Yeah, dude, even 3. Like, dude, just change it up, you know, and then get like different silhouettes. So you know really how to like structure around it.
Like, just for example, this pair of pants, right? It looks great, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Like,
appreciate it.
you can wear it with anything. Just imagine my top on his pants.
Yeah, dude.
It fits.
It works. So
pants definitely the most important part of the
and this is just my personal take lah, which is I feel like right, pants, right, the fit of the pants, okay, straight and wider cuts, right, I feel like, okay, wait, rewind. The wider, no, how should I put this, okay?
Baggy but not too baggy.
So baggy pants or wide fit pants, right, I feel like as opposed to like skinny fit, right, so there's the middle ground, the straight cut, skinny, and then the baggy, right. I feel like the best is you lean somewhere in between the white fit and the straight cut.
Like balloon pants.
Right. Like I mean,
parachute
but
pants.
try, man, dude. Like this pants is like I mean, if I put my hand, you know, it's like
baggy as hell, man.
Yeah. So you know, but I feel like
compared to this. Okay, this is also
it's also quite lah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not bad. So I feel like at least for fit wise, right, like baggier pants or like wider pants, right, fits better with any type of top. Meaning, I could wear a wider top and wider fit. The visual balance is still there. I could wear a skinny, like I wear, let's say today, a fitted top, a tight shirt. You know, I comb a greaser hair. You know, and but with a baggy pants, I still look good. But if you switch it around, you know, if let's say you have a baggy top but a super skinny pants, the visual balance is off already. You know, you're very top heavy. So really, just a tip lah. Anything between the straight to white, right, is like your go-to. Like you definitely have to have like a few of those in your wardrobe.
Yeah, so like back in the days, right, in fashion magazines, right, there was this thing like all stylists will like push out. Like, okay. So I heard it in Chinese, so I'll say in Chinese.
Yeah,
it's called 上宽下窄.
Okay.
So basically means if your top is tight, right, your bottom has to be baggy, and vice versa lah. Sort of like they say it works this way. Then honestly, I tried it out at first. But to me, it's a no-go lah. First of all, I have thunder thighs, as my friends call it, because I used to work like back in the days when it was like a bit more trending, right? I had these skinny jeans, ripped. Like that was
the blowout knees, is it? The blowout knees?
Not really blowout, like just a little bit ripped.
Okay.
Because I don't like wow, super big one. And it was skinny fit, like it was black. So I was like, you know what? This can't go wrong. And I bought them off Depop lah, back when it wasn't so expensive.
Okay.
I still shop on Carousel a lot. So that's a good place, man. Check it out. Then I wore it a few times. Then people were like, no, that's no go for you lah. Then I saw it immediately. I started buying like more straight cut trousers, baggy. And nowadays my pants just keep getting baggier and baggier.
The only way to go, man, yo.
A lot of like, I would say older people that have criticized me or like asked me like, hey, why your pants so baggy?
Like sloppy.
Yeah, like I don't know, I just like it, and it's comfortable not only, and it lets your nether area breathe so much more than skinny pants.
Hands down.
Yeah, and like back in the hype these days, right, everyone just cares about what you wear up top and maybe like shoes. Nobody cares about what you're wearing at the bottom. So everyone would just like spend like, I don't know, $100 over on a t-shirt, very expensive, then they get like a cheap pair of shorts
Right.
like from I don't know Uniqlo, Zara, H&M. Then the fit is just it looks great like top and bottom,
Right.
but just not on this part.
Right.
Yeah, like, at least for me I don't really like it.
Understand.
So I guess nowadays people are more like caring about the overall silhouette rather than just like loud pieces. Like you can be wearing like some random ass t-shirt from your wardrobe that might become a floor rack someday and like I don't know $100 dunks. Okay, not 100, that's too little. 1,000 over dunks. Then I think that's great lah. That people are starting to put more like on the overall rather than just focus on individual pieces.
For sure.
Not so much on the flex nowadays.
Correct. Yeah, which is good. And I think which brings us to the next point lah. I feel like dressing for your body type lah, which is like I think it's very very like crucial because like for me I'm not a very tall dude, right? So you really have to work around things because I feel like most of like the clothing or the quote unquote more like stylish items, right, are catered to people who are I guess like taller because I guess they look better and that's what the media or like the fashion portrays lah, the fashion world portrays, you have to look a certain way to really pull off certain outfits. But what I feel like, it's actually, it just poses us a more creative way to actually work around it lah. Like I said again, I'm not a very tall dude, so for me, last time they always have this thing where they say, if you're like a smaller dude, you just wear like smaller like stuff so that so you accentuate. You don't look so right. So you accentuate like your body frame and everything. But
so now we're at a few locations because we got kicked out of the previous one. So
hey, never stop, man. You always find a spot lah. So I think just now where we left off was like more like the body shape, the body type. Just really know yourself. You don't really have to really like conform to what's popular, but always know like what you're about lah. And I think again for myself, it's like what I realized works best for me is the baggier silhouette. So let's say if I wear like a more oversized baggier top that sort of like have like what do you call it, the line, the drop, the shoulder drop, the drop shoulder, exactly. It makes my shoulders look broader, and then to balance that out, I wear with like baggier pants lah, and this works for taller dudes, this works for shorter dudes, the visual balance is very good lah, and I think that works well for me.
I think one important thing, right, about shirts, like how they size, right, the oversized part, it's important to find oversized fit versus getting a normal size t-shirt then just going 2 sizes up.
Correct.
So the overall fit is like very, very different. So you really have to see like the measurements.
Correct, yes, measurements very, very
My favorite thing is measurements, especially because nowadays, I always buy my clothes online, not since nowadays. So the only way to know, right, is through measurements, and you have to lie like a favorite shirt that fits you best. So you lie it horizontally on the floor. Then you just start taking measurements. Then you compare with the one on the.
Try to get as close as possible.
Yeah, try to get as close as possible. That's the way I would find the best fit.
For sure.
Works for trousers also especially.
Yeah, I think same with regards to that also, like measurements. I think in the vintage I guess space, people tend to ask for measurements as well. And it's like the pit to pit and the length are like the most important one. And obviously people can go even in depth, like how long is the sleeve, what's the opening of the sleeve, So really get down these measurements and then you try to lean as close as to your body type as possible, or the fit that you actually like. Because like again for me, like what Sean mentioned, some t-shirts like you want the oversized fit, then you think you 2 sizes up is okay, but then you realize actually it's super long. It's the width you want but it's super long. Obviously yes, you can go to seamstress, get it hem, sure, but to eliminate all these like extra like work, exactly. You try to find things that like wide pit to pit but shorter lengths, and that works out.
Fit right off the bat.
Exactly. So it's always these kind of little details that you can like take note to actually like better gauge for your own body type.
Especially like older tees, I guess. Like they like to print on Udon Ultra Cotton. Like, that's one of the more popular ones compared to like all the Hanes and so Ultra Cotton is a bit weird. It's like not really oversized but not fitting as well. So when you go 2 sizes up, right, it becomes like I don't know.
It's very awkward long. And the sleeve length is also not very very nicely.
So even if you go 2 sizes up, right, maybe the sleeves are
but then it's super like
Yeah.
as long.
So I would say measurement is very, very important.
Yeah.
Knowing your body size,
Correct.
number one.
Number one, man, really. Just always see how it fits on you and then ensure that you really like it above anything else.
Yeah, that's the most important part. So moving on, right, I guess we can talk a little bit about our favorite designers. Yeah. So as you can tell, both of us we are not like super big name brand guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're not designer boys. We don't spend a lot of money on clothes.
Right.
At least that's our personal preference, I guess. Because I'm a broke student, so I don't really buy much. Then I guess there's a few brands that I really like.
Yeah.
But I haven't really gotten anything from them except for these two. So recently I bought something for Aim Leon Doro or Ami Leon Doro. I don't know how, don't really know how to pronounce it.
The correct pronunciation will be right here. Then you can, we always got those YouTube tricks of how to pronounce it. You can just put that there.
Yeah, that brand.
Yeah.
ALD lah for short. So I bought loafers from them recently because the color is something that is unique lah, and I've been eyeing it for so long. So I like finally got spare cash to spend. I was like, that's it. I must get it. Yeah. Then second brand is back about ALD. They have a lot of they weren't really new brand, but I like what's his name, Sanchez or something, like the owner basically. He has a very nice vision about colours and like his palette is just amazing. So he has done like a lot of collabs with New Balance. That's sort of what got him popular with all the New Balance collabs, especially the latest one. Yeah. So his colour palette is just amazing. Then the next one is Ada Era. That's also very nice. It's a brand from South Korea, yeah. So they are like basically a collective group of designers. Then they basically have decided to remain anonymous because they are not about to fame.
People don't really know who is really behind.
Yeah, nobody knows who is this guy. So recently they used to operate like online then a few years back they opened up a shop somewhere in South Korea So the aesthetic is just amazing So they operate by the thing, but the code, but near miss things, something like that. So it's basically like they like to do silhouettes that people don't really try out, or like having mild errors in them, imperfections. That's what makes it cool. So this shoe right here is by Ada Era and Puma. Then on their Instagram page there's like a million ways to wear this, especially if you take out the laces. So there's like minor detailing like on the tab and everything inside also just that I'm not that daring, so I wear it a little bit more quiet.
It looks good, man.
So these are two of my favorite brands. Then anything else? Not really these two are just my top few that I would buy something from them if I had the money
Right.
How about you?
I think for myself, I guess being in the vintage space for a while now, I think I do still definitely see what's going on around the current space of clothing and whatnot. But I feel like a lot of times the brands that are out there right now, or they are mostly very vintage influenced as well. They always take a leaf out of something from the past. So since I'm in the vintage space, I always tend to look for the vintage alternative. So as far as brand per se, I don't think I am very
brand conscious.
Yeah, not even that. I just feel definitely there are some brands that are doing great work, it's just that I don't really have a brand that I really I would deck myself out in that, But definitely I think even in the vintage space, so for sure I would definitely go anything vintage or I think that's really how I can put it. I'm always decked out. Let's say if I see this silhouette of a cardigan or an army pants, I'll try to look for a vintage alternative of it. Work jacket, I'll try to look for an older version of it, and there's always that allure with an older piece, something that is used as a reference. I feel I think that there's a certain allure to that and but definitely I think what's hot these days, or correct me if I'm wrong, but at least for influencer brands, so fashion influencers now, YouTubers, they do their own label. Jacob has their bare knuckles.
All this stuff is quite sick.
That's not bad.
the leaf of
Yeah, for sure. But it's good, and what Sanjeev also has his brand. What's the other guy's name? The blonde hair guy. Magnus, right? Running. So brands like influencers that I guess they're interesting, right? And it's always fun to see whenever they drop something new and stuff like that. Yeah.
Especially Ben Knuckles, I would buy them if I have money.
For sure, dude. I remember there was this dude when Ben Knuckles dropped their first drop, the card-looking work jacket. Yeah,
okay.
the crop one.
The contrast stitch one.
Right. What's the? Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Was it black?
That's black. Yeah. Then it's like they have some treatment done to it, like some stone wash. Yeah, something like that. And then
I think I have.
Yeah, it's based off the Detroit jacket. I think if I'm not wrong.
Try to include it.
Right, that one. So the funny thing was a guy actually wore it when it dropped. A guy actually came into our store, Luke Gums, wearing it.
Oh.
Then I was like, from afar, I was like, dude, is that the Ben Knuckles jacket? He said, oh yeah. I thought it. I did. So I was like, dude, is it cool if I try on? Yeah, go for it. And he was very sporting, he just passed it over, and I took a picture and yeah, and I tagged Jacob. I said, I wish I had this jacket. And he saw the story. He didn't reply. It's cool.
You said you were right now.
Yeah, but but it's nice. Yeah, but I think definitely, with I guess fashion influencer brands, I think it's a very interesting thing because it gives voices now to people who are influencers to actually make their own brands, and obviously there are fan base to actually follow, and obviously I guess if I access money, I'll definitely be into it. But yeah, for now I think definitely anything that I can find that are older, it's more in my lane
I guess Carhartt also, they've been taking a lot of influence from vintage pieces, but they have a great archive.
For sure, dude.
Because if you didn't know, there was the work in progress and the made in USA one, and now there's made in Japan also. So I like the older ones, the workwear, made in USA.
Yeah.
Those older ones, those are kind of what work in progress is recreating.
Right.
I would say they just copy a bit and then they just change.
Try to modernize the style
Yeah. So that kind of is a brand I would buy into also. But honestly, I'm not that brand conscious. So I just buy whatever silhouette that I'm looking for. Rather than the brand. So for example, I don't know, if you can find it at thrift, right, versus another piece that has it available now. I'll rather go search it at a thrift store rather than buy it.
Right. I think So I think that's good but I think again in the vintage space, I think at least for what really stand for Luke Gums, it's always the story behind the item. So I think sometimes when product, even outside when brands, obviously they try to tell a story behind it, I think I'll be more inclined to listen more inclined to buy and believe in their vision, like what you mentioned with the brands that you mentioned.
So I especially like the part about having a story behind the piece. So I'll just take my own brand for example. The current pieces I'm working on, right? There's a story behind the entire design. So not just the shirt, the stickers, right? All of it have a story. So I already posted a pic of sort of what went behind the scenes in my mind for that design. Yes. And then for the stickers, actually there's a much more complicated stories that I have yet to share. But maybe in the future when I actually get around the time to do it, inspiration is quite important. I like to read what went on in the artist's mind. Whoa, this guy is so creative. How did he think about all this to start making it? It didn't just snap I copied this guy.
Right.
That's a bit boring already.
I understand. That's definitely also I think our approach also to people who step into our store it's I think sometimes in fact most of the time when people who are just gotten into I guess the vintage space, it's always I guess coming from a point of vintage is just an aesthetic. Vintage is just anything old looking, which is not wrong. Technically, it's not wrong, But what we like, the consumers to really understand or see people is actually the story and the value that the story and history that gives it its value. So that's really the main important thing that we want people to have.
So adding on to that, I guess recently I had a conversation with like a older female friend. So she was like talking about how things have very high resale value now.
Right.
So one of our friends just sold like a K-pop card of BTS.
Right.
So back then she bought the whole set for like 85. Then nowadays she sold the entire set for like 2,000.
Shout out, man.
So that sort of like translate back to the vintage part.
Right,
So
right.
there's a story behind
course.
them, like how BTS went from that to success.
Right.
So that's why the value increased. So for example, like a normal vintage shirt, for example like Mickey Mouse, maybe that was the first ever Mickey Mouse shirt
Right.
that Walt Disney printed. That's why there's the value in that. And it's not just like blindly like, okay, this shirt, $200.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't pluck the numbers from the air, lah.
Yeah.
Right?
So I would say there's a story behind it, and sort of the target audience is more like towards collectors.
Right.
I would say not so much catered for like random people who are just trying to enter the scene. But if you like the shirt, you like the story, resonates with you, go ahead, man.
Correct. And I think a lot of times, especially with regards to like value, like who ascribes what value to what things, right? But I think in general, really dependent on the store itself. Meaning, like for our store, again, we do 80s, 90s, early 2000s pop culture related items. So anything that you find in store, right, is usually something from like a movie, like band, anime, comics, art piece, things of that nature. And I think with the nature of our stuff, right, the value that it has comes from various things. So sizing is one of them, the scarcity of it, how are people actually talking about such stuff recently? Like for example, I give you an example. Like there was this Tony Hawk pro skater. Everyone knows Tony Hawk. So in the 80s, he was in this skateboarding crew called Bones Brigade. So we had this 80s Bones Brigade crew T-shirt, right? It looks like your army admin tee, olive color, but then it's like the Bones Brigade logo, and then behind it says Bones Brigade. And honestly, if we were to put it up in store, I honestly think maybe 65 to 75. Oh, by the way, it's not a very good size. By good size in the vintage scene is like XL.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like L.
LXL, yeah, that's like the more, because more people can wear it.
Easier to sell, yeah.
Yes, it's way easier. So because like S and M, even if the same print, the value is like way lower.
Yeah.
So the T-shirt it's like an M size. So honestly, if we were to put it out in store, it would probably be about 65 to 75 range. And even maybe for the layman, when they see this, they'll be like, this one look like MET. Yeah, normal MET, but then okay lah, Bones Brigade. Then
free one.
yeah, maybe and even if let's say they know the story, it may not also resonate at that moment with them.
Yeah.
So maybe the price they don't understand. Okay, fair enough. So we decided against putting out in store. So we just left it on Instagram. And then what happened was a skater from Japan DM'd us, and then he basically bought the shirt for 210.
Wow.
Yeah. So the thing, but the thing he added on was that if you were to find that shirt in Japan, it will be way more expensive. So correct. So I think
If you ever been to Japan, their vintage resale scene.
Yeah, it's insane, but you can only always people, friends or people around you when they go to Japan, or like the States, they always say, oh my god, bro, the scene that's insane, which is true, But what we have to really understand is that they have the scene, they have the audience as well.
Yeah.
Both of them feed off each other.
Exactly.
So people, the appreciation level there is sky high.
Yeah.
And they don't treat like vintage. I think because vintage is still very young in Singapore right now, so they don't treat vintage like as a trend. It is more like a lifestyle to them. So it's part of the ecosystem, like high fashion, fast fashion,
It's
vintage.
on par with high fashion, I would say.
What I'm trying to say is they don't see it as
Just a t-shirt.
they don't see it like us. Okay, vintage this, vintage that. It's like when you go out on the streets, like maybe to like the people there. Sometimes I watch a lot of those Japanese YouTubers. Then they go out, ask what they're wearing, and then it's like, okay, my hat is like from Gucci. Then my T-shirt here is from Uniqlo, but my cardigan is vintage. My pants is vintage. My shoes is from Dr. Martens. They mix and match. They don't think so much about this is this, that is that.
Yeah.
But I think over here in Singapore, we tend to want to box ourselves in a lot of it.
Brand-centric.
I would say Singapore, this is my opinion lah, we are, as a whole lah, right, we are mostly brand-led or price-led. What do I mean by that? So let's say if you see something you like, right? I will only spend good money on it if it's of a certain brand or certain, quality. That's brand-led lah. So, but if I don't really have the funds to do it, then I'll just say Taobao, Shopee. I'll get the alternative. Nothing is wrong. There's no wrong between going for either. But that is what Singaporeans.
All boils down to your budget lah.
Yeah, all boils down to your budget. But we are always that also. We are brand-led, price-led. That's why anything in the middle, right? In middle ground, it's a bit difficult for Singaporeans to kind of like accept. So anything alternative, anything niche is a little bit neither here nor there. So but it's not something that is very apparent overseas. And I feel like that only boils down to mainly the willingness to try. And a lot of people say like, people overseas dress better. Now that I'm in my late 20s, right, I feel like having seen like people from said countries, Japan, States, whatnot. Honestly, I think the youth and our youth here in Singapore, right, the only difference is the willingness to try. It's the willingness to step up. We tend to, I always tell people this like, we as Singaporeans, we want to stand out, but we don't dare to be outstanding.
We sense, I guess, we fear judgment.
Yeah, exactly. It really boils down to that. It's like maybe in your crew, in your posse, like you want to have something that is like, you want to kind of like, while being unique as an individual, you kind of still want that thing that draws everyone, like pulls everyone together. So maybe say it's like a t-shirt, a brand of a t-shirt, maybe ADLV or Essentials or something that that marks you as a group. But then maybe you want to be individual, so you add maybe like a bandana on yourself, you wear rings, you wear chains to add to your individual. But that connecting thing, there's always that one piece that connects you all together. It's a single piece. Because we are afraid that maybe within our group, if I dress so differently from the group, I would stand out too much that I'm not part of the group. So I think that's the only difference. So just my advice is really like, just go for it, man. Just do you, just explore.
Would you say like sometimes, right, before you go out, you're gonna meet this group of friends.
Right.
So you know that they don't dress up as much as you do. Would you like tone it down a little bit just to fit in with them?
No, maybe like, I think this is a question I think I get a lot on myself and FG, because I would say majority of the friends that we have, some of them obviously the creative scene, they do take liberty in their dressing. But I'll say that for the most part, I think everyone else is not too concerned with their choice of dressing, right? So, but I mean at this age already, I think not very concerned with what I mean, as long as I'm comfortable, I'm not hurting anybody, I just express myself. So yeah, just do that, man. Really don't
just wear whatever.
Yeah, just wear whatever. Really don't put too much thought into what people are gonna think. Just be comfortable in you, lor.
I think it's great now that like on TikTok, most people are like starting to post about what they dress, and I can see that it's a bit different. Though I have yet to see them on the streets. Maybe because I don't go out that often, but I think it's like slowly moving towards the trend of dressing better, I would say. But in some context, I would agree that people overseas dress better. But then that again also partly the reason is because of the weather.
Okay, fair enough.
We can't really layer here, I would say lah. Like this outfit you have on, like, it's great. But if I were to wear it, right, because I sweat pretty easily.
I know, do same, man.
Yeah, then you'll be very hot.
just more training.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, man, but I do kind of agree with the part that people dress as well, because they can't really layer.
Fair enough.
But then there's also like some options for us to explore, even though we can't layer.
Yeah, that's why I think limitations are a good challenge to see how you can work around things. Obviously, you have on one hand you can wear whatever you want and you have grit you just bear the humidity and the sun and everything. That's great, man. Right, but obviously there are other alternatives where you can be more creative in the way you dress. So really, there's no right, no wrong. There's no rule book that you have to follow.
Yeah, just don't really listen to the stigma, I would say.
Yeah, of course.
Especially like when I do wear the color green, right? Or like any shade that's something similar to like army uniforms or like for example jungle hats. I love to wear jungle hats. Then people will be like, hey, they want SAF one. Then I'm just like
cue the SAF jokes.
Not everything is from SAF.
Yeah, man.
Like there's honestly SAF has some nice color schemes for the green parts, but like the green socks, I always wear the army socks. I love those. It's a perfect shade of green that you can't find it outside, and it's comfortable also. So don't really listen to the stigma. Just do it, man. I mean, it adds a flair of joke.
I think it's just interesting, that I find like people who have, I guess, negative comments or nothing nice to say about things are people who are just not willing to try. They're the people who are afraid. So it's fine. It just shows that people who tell you not to do something is because they don't dare to do it. So it doesn't matter. Don't take it as like hate or anything. It's just you do you.
You like it, just do it.
Yeah, dude. Really. Yeah.
Like for example, this quote that somebody told me always lingers in my head. So what if you step out today and you're gonna die, you don't know what? And this is the outfit you're wearing. Will you be happy with this being your ghost outfit? Like that's the outfit everyone is gonna look at you for the rest of your life because you died in it.
Right.
Yeah, and you will die knowing that you didn't try what you really like. So sort of like before when I go out, I would think, shit, do I really want to wear this to go out? Yeah, but that's not limited to everything. For example, if like I'm going down just to get something from the mama shop or like the kopitiam nearby, obviously I'm not gonna dress up like this and go down.
Yeah, man. I just feel like especially like at least for the younger audience, like out there, just stay true to your conviction, don't need to sway your thoughts, and as long as you know you're not harming anyone, you're doing things right, just go for it, just try,
Just let people get used to it. Like when I started wearing rings, my parents, actually I would say my parents are my biggest critics in my style.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, so it's like why you wear so many rings, you gangster, is it?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wore like this dragon print shirt, like what, you or like then I wore this pearl necklace. It's like why are you trying so hard to be a girl? So they have this like very fixated mindset that guys should only do guy things.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Masculinity
Of course.
Especially when I painted my nails a few months back, then they got super pissed. They're like, oh, this is the like last straw already. This is the max I can allow.
Wow. Yeah, no, I feel you, and I think same concerns also. I think even back then, last time back in poly, I had like all sorts of crazy hair color and even painting nails. I had one of my female friends like in the Union Jack on all my nails.
Oh shit!
So this was back.
How do you do that?
All props to her, man. I think Sam, if you're watching this, it was really interesting because I think back then also, I think my parents, they definitely have like a lot of questions like, oh, how come you are like dyeing your hair, all these funky colors, why are you painting your nail? Especially I think the same thing, rings, especially my rings are like this kind of like very colourful.
I remember when I first met you, you were still wearing a bit more silver. Something a bit like mine.
The reason for not wearing the silver is because what I noticed is every time I wash my hands, it slips out. Especially with soap. So I was like, and I drop my rings into certain some customers' bags. And then they'll take pictures like, oh, this is Isaac ring. Like, oh, so sorry about that. Or sometimes when I'm packing like the clothes, they'll drop one of the pockets or something. So what I realized, I need to switch it up. And then one day I came to the shop without wearing any rings. I felt so naked. Right. So after I was like, oh no, shit. So FJ has this box of old rings. And she wasn't working that day. So I was like, okay, I really need to make a ragtag crew of rings because I feel naked. So this was the thing that I went with and I never took it off ever since.
Oh, nice,
so,
nice.
But obviously same thing, even like necklaces and stuff like that. My mom will sometimes like come up to me and like say, really like your late 20s already and sometimes like I think if you want to find a girlfriend
you're like still figuring out your
dude. I think on the lines of that which is nothing wrong and but which is the thing is like she was like, oh I don't think girls will like this kind of like, confusing thing. I'm like, I'm not wearing for anybody lah. Like just for myself lah, and for
I get
express.
it.
Yeah, and then they'll it's an archaic thinking lah. I mean, I don't blame them. They are from a certain era,
It's a
but
different generation.
I would just tell them, this is what I'm comfortable with. This is how I express myself. And yeah, I mean, there's no concerns. Oh, funny story though. So a month ago, I had my reservice lah. So prior to my reservice,
With this long hair.
no. So prior to my reservice, my hair was like this. So I had a mullet.
Oh,
and it was touching like
right,
collar
yeah.
already.
Correct,
So
correct.
I was growing it out for like I guess half a year. So I was very pleased. I just wanted it to continue growing. I wanted to be able to like tie it up.
But you
So-
can't do that, right?
Right. So reservice came along, and then I thought maybe I could get away with it. I thought if I pin my mullet up,
Okay.
when I wear the jockey cap, I could hide it. So apparently that wasn't the case lah. I got caught straight away when I entered camp. So long story short, I actually shaved my mullet away lah.
They
in
force
camp.
you to cut in camp.
Yeah, they forced me to cut in camp. But the
Oh,
auntie was
okay.
very nice lah. The auntie said, I told auntie to just say the whole thing. I just like that. She didn't touch any of it. So that was
okay.
cool lah. But the story was, prior to reservice, I was going to work. So I was at MRT. So I was at the MRT lift. So I entered the lift first, followed by a couple, elderly couple. So and then an old man came in as well. So there were like 4 of us. So I pressed the lift. I didn't even turn around. I just saw them from the reflection. So everyone's in. I closed the lift. The old people were just talking to each other. So one of the old men asked the elderly couple for directions to a certain place. I mean, I overheard lah. Then the elderly couple said, I don't know. They spoke in Chinese lah. They said, I don't know. Or maybe 你可以问这个小妹. So I guess from the back, I was wearing like a cardigan. I was wearing like a green cardigan, like the kind of like not forest green. It's like a light
The
green,
pastel
green,
like
pastel.
the Ruben Kobe.
Right, so it's
Overcoat,
like a pastel color kind of like green lah. And then I had my mullet, and then I guess from the back, maybe it looks feminine lah, So and then I had my necklaces and everything. So he said, 你可以问这个小妹问. So the elderly guy went to like pat me on the shoulder. 小妹问你一下. Then I turned around. No lah, I mean I didn't. I turned around a bit like laughing lah, because like I knew it was quite funny. I just turned around and said, sorry 我不是小妹. Then they said, sorry. Then yeah, I mean I wasn't pissed lah. It was just a very funny encounter. Correct, exactly. So don't take it too seriously lah. It's not something that they see very often. So
Of course.
yeah, interesting stories.
But funny thing was, I went to visit my grandma with her painted nails. Then she was like pretty chill about it. She was like, what, paint nails ah? Then I was like, so. Then that was the whole
That's
combo.
good, man.
So I was like, I thought she would be a little bit pissed.
Yeah,
or
no.
something. But I guess maybe when you're older, you just be more open.
Yeah, maybe I think sometimes, at least for the older generation, when they see us, they also look back, or when they're young that time, they probably also have that phase where they're trying and experimenting, and some of them do understand lah. So shout outs to them.
Yeah. I guess like sometimes when you are out in public, right, then you do get a few stares from the elderly. Maybe they just looking at you like that's how I look like back in the days.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
why they are staring at you. So maybe don't take it.
Don't take it.
Unless they are like creepily taking photos of you, then call police. That's a different
Hey, who
story.
knows? Maybe they have like a fashion Instagram that they want to keep it
Elders
tight.
with style.
Youngsters with style that I wish I had. Yeah, I don't know. So
Maybe.
man. So yeah, I never stop, man. So
I guess we should wrap up this episode, episode 0 pilot.
Yeah,
I guess we covered on a lot of things.
Yeah.
That are pretty interesting a little bit more about ourselves.
Right.
So I guess I hope you find us as good hosts
Yeah.
to talk about such topics. Then in the future we definitely have a lot more episodes planned,
Yeah.
but we just want to see how it goes, like how
Right.
much it blows up. If you want it to be worth our time, I would
I
say.
know. I mean, as if you resonate with something, let us know. If you guys wanna also let us know what you want us to cover.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
people to talk about, things to talk about. Just feel free to share with us, man, and let us know where we can do better. Like
Yeah.
moving forward, lah.
Just give us any feedback,
Yes, yeah.
criticism, anything you have
To
on your
just-
mind, just type
just
it out.
go for it, man. We
even
won't
if
take it personally,
you want to
man.
bully us, go ahead.
I mean,
yeah, we're
like,
cool with it.
like don't lah. But yeah, I mean, just go for it, man. I think we're very open to it. At least for the
Yeah.
pilot episode, we really just like just experimenting and just like talking, just rambling on and see
it's
where
like
we get.
like two friends, maybe
chilling.
3 friends chilling.
Yeah,
Like you behind the camera,
ding, ding, ding.
just joining you, and listening to our conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you like it, please share it, like it, subscribe. Definitely, we have more episodes. Like, give us tips also about podcasts, man. Like, we're just new to this, man. We are total noobs. Don't know anything.
Let us know, man.
So, for you watching, have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, see you next time, man.
See you again
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.